All right, welcome to this edition of Building Your Perfect Agency Elephant Account. My name is Matthew Hahn. You should know that by now. I'm joined with the freshly cut Brian Blair with his freshly trimmed beard. He shaved about 6 inches off. For all of you guys that didn't notice, you're jerks. I was one of those people. So welcome. We're going to be going over event reminder campaigns. This is going to be a call where we go over all things event reminder. This is going to be our last training piece of building your perfect agency elephant system. After this call is over, we are going to be going over to building things. We're going to be building funnels, recycling all opportunity and all accounts. And I'm kind of curious if I want to leave all of the stuff that we build in our clone account so that it's already pre-built and ready to go. I'm curious if we want to do that or have people continue to build them out. So we're going to play it by ear. Is it play it by ear or play it by year?
Ear, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's ear, yeah.
Okay. What about dawdle or dwaddle?
Never heard either of those.
Like, don't dwaddle about.
Don't know that one.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into this. We're going to be going over event reminder campaigns, all things settings, setting up, building, how they fire off, how they work, how they recycle opportunity into your deals, into your pipeline here. We are going to be building out something to show you in this account. I would personally like to build a quotes not closed because I feel like that is the biggest thing that we should be recycling. If we got information to quote and they didn't close, we should be recycling that opportunity. What do you feel, Brian?
Yeah. I mean, event reminders, when the event reminder first, I just remember the early days of the event reminder. Remember that? Like, you didn't know what was firing. You didn't know what was going to go out. You would just have to wait blindly for replies.
Yeah, and then somebody would call you on the event reminder, be like, hey, man.
Yeah, someone would pick up the phone. They'd say, hey, Lee, I got your voicemail. And you're like, what the hell is this person talking about? I don't know what they're talking about.
And then you try and seem like you're so cool. Like, oh, yeah, I make a lot of calls. Man, I'm so sorry. It's like, wait, you don't remember one of the calls you made today? Do I really want you to meet my agent?
But now with like the different, like with the radar from the dashboard, being able to see what went out, from having it text yourself if you want a text reminder from Agency Elephant to you, letting you know that you sent out client first name, client last names, X date automation. Or
I really like the email self notification piece as opposed to my phone, because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of over my phone going off and notifying me on things all the time because I get freaking a ton of Facebook messages every day, a ton of text messages every day from clients, and a ton of text messages from, my personal sphere of people that text me on my cell phone, and I'm kind of over my phone vibrating and ringing. So I like the self email option, and it's free. So
but wait, there's more.
Wait.
Now you can have that event reminder campaign throw someone back into a pipeline status.
Speaking of the devil, I just got a Facebook message, exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go over this. Let's get this down. Let's get into this because we do have a lot to go over for event reminders. For all of our users on the call, an event reminder is a date-based campaign. It can be for X dates, it can be for renewal dates, it can be for any date you determine, it can be for any of those. If it was me, I'd be very cautious on how many dates you add into your system because it's going to be more to manage. You could always run multiple things off the same date, and I will show you how to do it. Okay. So an event reminder campaign is really just that. It's a campaign that is ran off of an event. Okay. A date event. All event reminder campaigns only fire off if they have those specific date fields in those accounts. And if they're a part of the right group, which is how you can send out multiple different campaigns based upon the same date. So I'm going to use one of our examples in our Built for You to go over that really quick. If you're noticing here, these are the last 4 in your Built for You account. They're called vendor leads. These are purchase leads, prospecting campaigns. They're all tied to the same event. They're all tied to the same X date. It's called a vendor X date. Okay. Your prospect's X date is just tied to an expiration date. But all of these are tied to the same date field. And it's important to understand that because you can have multiple different campaigns tied to the same date field, and they can do multiple different things based upon what group they're in. Okay. So event reminder campaigns, to sum it up, they are fired based upon the group that they're in and the date field. So
and both have to match for it to fire.
Correct. So if I'm
Okay.
looking at a prospect over here and I want to have this vendor leads date, this X date fired off, this event reminder campaign, they need to be in prospects BFY or the new vendor leads BFY, and they need to have a vendor X date. So if I'm in my profile over here, I'm looking over here and I'm like, great, Matt is in the prospects BFY. Let's also check his X dates. I'm going to go over to other info and scroll down to X dates. I used categories in here so that, or sections they're called, so that I can section out specific dates and run it more like a CRM. So here are all of my date fields in my account: expiration, vendor, point falls off, close at renewal, revisit rate at renewal, win back date. All of these are date fields. Well, in this one, it's based upon the vendor X date and prospects or new vendors. I don't have anything in my vendor X date. So guess what is not firing off? This event reminder campaign. Okay. So that's how event reminders campaigns work. They have to be in the right date field and they have to be in the right group to fire, and they ignore the year. So all they're looking at is month and day. I know there's year here that just helps you track when you put them in there, but your date fields fire off every year based upon the month and day. They disregard the year because it's a reoccurring event based upon your time constraints that you put in here. Okay, so now let's create or start the process of your quote follow or quotes not sold campaign. And I'm going to do this the same way that I recommend everybody do this. And I recommend everybody do this with a whiteboard or a Google spreadsheet. And since I don't have a whiteboard on my account, I'm going to use a Google spreadsheet. Okay. And I'm just going to map out this process, and I'm going to use the center of my screen to help you guys make this easier. So it's right in the center of your screen. I'll zoom in a little bit. Is that bit large enough for you, Brian? Can you see that?
Yeah, it looks good. I think it looks good.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a flow of what I want my quotes not closed to look like. The goal is here's the goal. If I drag Matt, and let's use Jane Doe because Matt's already in there. If I drag Matt into my proposal status, it's going to fire off my quote follow-up campaign, right? If Jane Doe does not get sold and move to sale, I want to make sure that I am going to recycle that missed quote every year, multiple times a year, because I got their information, I quoted them, I had conversations with them about it, and I did all the blood and sweat equity to get this, but I didn't close it.
So that's something that my post a few days ago mentioned. I've already earned the right to quote them. I take that as I've earned that right every year now.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not gonna reach back out in a year and say, hey, remember me? Would it be okay if I, ran some new numbers for, like, no, they've already told me that they are interested in shopping. And so maybe that year just didn't work out, or maybe that 6-month auto policy didn't work out. I have earned that right to requote them. And I'm going to assume that in the future. Hey, Lee, it's Brian. We ran numbers for you last year. I'm going to run some updated numbers for you this year. Any household changes I need to be aware of before I run those quotes. I've already assumed that. I'm not going to try to regain that permission again. Okay.
And it's important to understand we've already set that expectation in your built for you sales pipeline. Okay. If somebody sits in this pipeline status proposal for more than 30 days, they are going to automatically get moved into, on day 31, automatically get moved into a quotes not closed campaign, automatically based upon the expiry options in your pipeline. They will get hit with messages for another week because they did not close their quote after 30 days. The last message, which is day 37, they are going to get is, hey, we didn't close the account this go around. Keep an eye out because we will reach back out to you on your next renewal to win your business and trust. Talk soon, stay safe, right? We are setting the expectation that you're already going to reach out if you're using the sales pipeline.
And here's something to think about. A lot of agents probably say that in a manual format right now. right? Someone not using automation. Hey, no worries, Matt. We'll try again in a year, see if, things change, because customer experience changes, rates change. They might have a claim that goes bad with that current provider. Tons of things can change in a year. And in the back of that prospect's head, they're like, yeah, right. You're not going to remember to reach out to me.
Yeah.
This
And
kind of sets that stage.
yesterday, I had a perfect example of this. Yesterday, I had a person that was referred to me for the second time. The first time they were referred to me, it didn't make sense. Premiums didn't make sense. They wanted to switch, didn't make sense. Older guy, fixed income, didn't make sense. So I'm not going to push value and all those other things because it didn't make sense. Like, that happens. That's okay. It's okay to miss it. But he was referred to me a second time by the same lady 2 years later. And he said, Matt, I really want to come back to Farmers. I'm sick of Geico and all these things. I'm like, great, John, let's take a look at it again. Wouldn't it have been better if he had recycled through my quote follow-up campaign correctly and got hit so he didn't have to be referred by the lady a second time because he lost my number? Wouldn't that have been better? How many people am I missing not doing that? Because they're gonna shop at some point. They're not just gonna stay with their provider forever. They're gonna shop. So that's the way you want to look at quotes not closed. So let's map this out, right? And we're going to use pipelines because this is a big deal. If somebody goes into the proposal status, okay, they're going to get a quotes not closed, a quotes follow-up campaign for 30 days, right? And then on the expiry at 30 days, they're going to move to quotes not sold group. Quotes not sold for 7 days of automation, right? After this is over, I want to recycle them at the not 1 year mark, because I'm going to plan 6 months that it's an auto policy, whether it's a home or anything else. So I'm going to take out my handy dandy notepad, handy dandy calculator over here, and I'm going to say, okay, 6 months times 30 days is 180 days, right? Minus out the 37 days we spent on this drip campaign is 143 days. I want to hit them 2 weeks before that renewal at day 129, right? That is my time frame that I'm looking at. I want to hit them 129 days after that drip is over. Okay, that's kind of my roadmap here, right? Are you following me with what I'm doing here? 129 days after the campaign is over, I want to hit them. So I'm going to say after 129 days, and let me admit this person in so that I can type after 129 days, hit with event reminder, which equals
4 months and a week.
14 days prior to renewal, right? Okay, this is how I'm going to do this. This is just kind of my roadmap. Then what I want to happen is I want it to hit a pipeline. And that pipeline is going to be called quotes not sold or requote or quotes not sold pipeline, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it requoting opportunity, because for whatever reason, I like seeing opportunity because it makes me feel like I've got a shot, right? Requoting opportunity. This is my pipeline status. On this pipeline status, I want to hit them for another 2 weeks, 2 weeks drip, total of 4 touches. And people keep coming into this waiting room, so it keeps kicking me off of this thing. Hold on, let me admit some people in here. Okay, so this is what I want the roadmap to look like. And then I'm even going to come in here and say immediately on day 0, I'm going to do a text message, and it's going to say, hey, first name. If you don't know the token stuff like I do, it's not a big deal. You can use the tokens in Agency Alpha, and I'll just build it out here for you. Hey, first name, it's Matt, the insurance agent that worked on your quotes a few months back. It's time to take a look. And you can set this up for, like, you can say, hey, this is for autos, this is for home. You can set up certain things to hit specifically if you want to, and that gets a little more nitty gritty. I'm going to keep it simple because I'll show you how to set these up to be home and auto based so that you're hitting the renewals correctly. If your verbiage is better, If your verbiage is more specific, chances are you'll probably have more conversations. Hey, we worked on your auto quote. Hey, we worked on your home quote. And you can make sure, hey, their home quote isn't expiring in 6 months. It's a year policy. You know, you can separate those two things out, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's work on the basic one, because your pipeline's basic here. This proposal, it's basic, doesn't matter what it is. You can create a new status that's proposal home, proposal auto, proposal life. You can create new proposal statuses to do that and make it easier so you know what's out there. But we're going to keep it generic. Hey, we worked on your few months back, worked on your quotes a few months back. Didn't make sense at the time. Your renewal should be coming up before we send you over the new quotes. Has anything changed? Right? It's a little bit long. We can always edit it down, but I like to just word vomit straight on what I'm working on, get everything that I want in the system, and then I'll edit it later to make sure that my drips are, you know, less than 160 characters. I want to get everything I want onto paper, then I'll edit it down. That's how I work. I need to get everything out, then I'll edit it. Okay. So day 0 text message is this, and then I'm going to do a day, you know, 6 text message or email rather, and it's going to say, hey, you know, first name, etc. This is going to be my drip that I'm going to work out. All right. I'm going to come back over to my agency elephant account here. Now I know based upon this that I need a new requoting pipeline status. Okay, so I'm going to come over to my settings area over here. I'm going to come over to my pipelines, and I'm going to add a new status. Okay, this is how you add pipeline statuses to your account. You just hit new status under pipelines, new status. Okay, now I'm going to title this. I'm going to say requoting opportunity. Requoting, I guess, isn't a word. Opportunity. Okay, I'm going to title this to my sales pipeline because it's a sales opportunity. I'm going to hit submit. Look at that, requoting opportunities here. I don't want it showing up at the front of my pipeline, so I'm simply going to drag this. And if you're overwhelmed because you have too many pipelines, just pick the pipeline you added it to so it shows you just that pipeline, so it's more simple. Okay, now I'm going to drag this down to where I want it. Where do I want this? Well, it wasn't a no sale. I'm going to throw it here. Okay, right? It's second to last. I'm not going to have any automation attached to it yet because I haven't built a drip. I'm going to go into my event reminder campaign. Okay. So now I'm going to come over to my event reminder campaign, and I'm going to say, this is a requoting campaign. Over here on the right, we're going to hit add new campaign, and we're going to title this requoting opportunity. Now, this is the group I'm going to pick for my event reminders. What groups do these people have to be in order to fire off that drip? Well, I know they were in the quotes not closed campaign because they followed through and didn't close. If I'm using my pipeline correctly, you've got to think about this, right? Let's think this through before we build this out, just so we're all on the same page. Let's go to sales. So it's smaller. Let's go to move automation configuration, and let's go all the way down to the proposal status here. Okay, this is our pipeline for proposal status. If they sit in my, if they get moved into my pipeline, they get put into these two groups, right? If they expire in that pipeline, they get moved to these two groups. So what I can say is if anybody is in prospects BFY or quotes not sold, the reason I'm doing both is because let's say Matt is sick of getting the quotes not closed campaign. He's like, hey, Brian, can you take me off of this? Like, I'm just not going to close out. It doesn't make sense. Can you take me off of this? Sure. What are you going to do? You're going to remove them out of the group. So if you base your event reminder campaign solely off of the drip group, you might
shoot yourself in the foot.
Yep, because you could remove that group to remove the automation. So I'm going to pick them both. You could only pick prospects BFY if you wanted to, but I'm going to pick them both because it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have both. I'm going to pick them both. If these people are in this one of these two groups and they have a date field, well, I don't have that date field in my account yet. Let's simply add a new one, right? I'm going to click add new date field. It's going to open up a new window. and I'm going to do add a field. Okay. Over here, I'm going to say requote campaign. Okay. I can create a new date field for that. Are we still tracking? Okay. I can create a new date field for this. Requote campaign or requote X date. You can call it whatever what you want. Make sure that you're picking the date field because it is a date field. I'm going to hit save.
We had people in the past doing that as a text box, and the event reminder campaigns don't read a text box. So you've got to make sure it's a date field. That was a pretty common thing. Just always select date field for event reminder campaigns.
If you are using sections, and know what this is, you need to add whatever date field you created to a section to show up in your account. If you are not using sections, it'll populate somewhere and it's a mess in your account. I encourage you to use sections. We'll do a call that goes over sections or recorded videos so we don't have to waste a full hour over it. If you're using sections, you have to put that date field into the correct section. This is an X date, right? I'm going to hit save changes. Now what I'm going to do is come over into a profile and I'm going to make sure that section shows up. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to X dates. I've got my requoting date. Perfect. I'm good, right? I'm good. Now what I need to do is I'm going to come over to my event reminder back where I was, and I'm going to say requoting opportunity. That's a deal status. Let's refresh the page because I just added this. Let's add all this back in. This is a requoting opportunity. This is a quotes not sold, no quotes not closed, prospects, BFY, requoting X dates. Okay. I'm going to pick the X date. Now I'm choosing what is the time frame, the trigger. What is the trigger I'm going to send this on? Is it going to be based upon annually, bi-yearly, or monthly? Do I want to trigger it monthly on a certain day, bi-yearly, or yearly? Okay, this is up to you. If this was a generic one, I'm just going to do yearly. If I know it's auto, I'm going to do bi-yearly. Okay, but this is generic, so I'm going to do yearly. Okay, now I'm going to pick my reminder. And I'm going to show you a few different ways to do this so you don't have to have multiple. The problem with event reminder campaigns is if you want to have something like a drip, right? If you want to have a drip where it has 7 steps, well, guess what? You need 7 event reminders to do that. I'm going to show you a way to do this better. Tie your event reminders to a pipeline that sets a drip that moves and starts all over again. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, here's how we're going to do this. Renewal. Quotes not closed, prospects BFY tied to the requoting date. I'm going to do this yearly, and I'm going to say, hey, every year, 6 months before that time frame or 1 year before that time frame, let's use the 1 year because it's easier. I'm going to say 45 or 60 days. Let's do 60 days before the renewal. At what time? Well, I'm going to pick 11:15 a.m. Okay. 60 days before the renewal at 11:15 a.m., I want to send a text message reminder, okay? And I want to notify the lead. Now, there's a couple things on here you need to be aware of. There's self-notification text messages and lead notifications. This means you're sending a text to the lead and yourself. Email notifications to lead or to yourself. This is something you can set up, but we're going to do a text message, okay? Now hang with me because this is going to get a little confusing. So I'm going to repeat it a few times. 60 days before this date that is in an account. And I'm going to put the date field in here. And I'll show you how to manage this correctly and all of that. Okay. 60 days before this date field. Okay. I'm going to use December 1st, 2022. Okay. There's no save button. It automatically saves. Okay. 60 days before that date field, I am going to send the lead a text. This is just going to be from my main account. And the text is going to say exactly what I had here, right? So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come over to Agency Elephant and I'm going to paste it in here. Okay. I am going to look at how many characters this is. It shows me it's one text message still, which I thought it'd be way more. And this has to be incorrect.
It's probably, yeah, it's from your copy.
Yeah, it's from my copy. So I'm going to leave this as is, and you can always change this. Here's how you recycle opportunities correctly. Okay, I have the X date. It's going to hit them every year. That's perfect. I love that. But I need to see it refunnel into my pipeline. I need to see it hit the new status that I created called requoting opportunity. I want to see that lead hit there every time this event reminder falls off, because I want to see in my account every day that I come in, new requoting opportunities populate here. Okay, so this is the goal. So what's going to happen after this fires off? You need to look at this linearly. Okay, these groups have to be here. This date has to be here. This is the time that it fires off. This is the message that fires off. Now I need it to hit my pipeline. Okay. Well, if you look down at the bottom here, it says select deal status. I'm going to get this changed tonight to say select pipeline. Okay, pipeline status, because we changed the terminology and this was one area that we missed. Where is this going to? Well, this is going to my requoting opportunity pipeline. So now what's going to happen is when this fires, after this message fires, it is going to put them into my requoting opportunity pipeline. Okay. Now let's think about that for a minute before we move on. I just created a drip that is for requoting opportunities tied to a specific group with a specific date field. And when that event reminder fires off, I am going to have it populate to my requoting opportunity status. Does that make sense from a funneling standpoint? Goes through the proposal. After proposal is over, once the X date hits, it goes to requoting opportunity pipeline.
Now, and we talked about this on the live right before this call, you could set this up depending on where you're at and how confident you are in automation. You could set this up to simply put them in the pipeline, not even send them that first text message. Maybe it's someone you want to pick up the phone and call. Maybe it's, maybe there's a situation out there where you're not quite confident in having that first message go out. You could have it text yourself. Hey, Dallas Downey. Hey, me. We just sent the X date for Brian Blair. Check out the pipeline. And now Brian's in there. And you can say, hey, Brian was kind of an ass. Maybe we don't want to earn his business. Or, hey, Brian prefers phone calls. He's 85 years old and he doesn't text. Maybe we should just pick up the phone and call that person, right? Like, you can manipulate and build this exactly how you want it. But the thing that I said at Soup Live is if it hits the pipeline, that's where you track and measure everything. That's the temperature of what's going on in the agency. And do you know how cool it is to come in the morning and log in and see 3 or 4 households sitting there that you normally would have missed because you didn't have a process set up? Like, that's a powerful spot.
Well, think about this. One of the things that I feel people like about purchasing leads is they like going into their email every day and they like seeing new lead opportunity for Jane Smith, right? You have a new lead for John Doe. They're like, oh, I got a lead. It feels good to see that, right? So what I like to do with my event reminders is I do the same thing, but I do it myself. So I say, hey, you have a new requoting opportunity for, watch this, John Doe. Grabs the lead information. So now I know who the lead is that's a requoting and it's emailing to myself. And I'm going to say, hey,
good looking
requoting opportunity, you son of a bitch. John Doe.
John Doe is ready to make magic happen. Let's go.
John, right? Doe is coming up for renewal. Get your ass in gear, right? I can send this self-text to myself to notify myself and see it in my email when I wake up in the morning or out if I'm out at the golf course or out with my family. I'm like, oh, I got a requoting opportunity email. Freaking love it for Brian Blair. Perfect. It's on my radar. I don't need to see my pipeline. I know it's on my radar. I could have automation that's going out, or I know I've got to manually call this guy and be like, hey, Brian, just want to let you know, I told you I'd reach out. Renewal's coming up. You can handle it however you want. But this is how you send a self notification to yourself. Okay. Now, after this is over, it is going to the requoting opportunity pipeline. Whatever group they were in is going to stay the same, unless you want to get more creative. Okay. We just had it refunneling over into this quoting opportunity. Okay. Nothing changes. The groups stay the same. Nothing changes because we don't have any automation set up for it to disconnect the groups. But here is where you want to get creative. And this is why I made sure that this event reminder campaign fired off, not just based upon quotes not sold, but also prospects. Okay. Here why. If I am setting up an automation, and let me add a group here, and I'll show you, this is going to be my requoting opportunity drip group. Okay. I put drip here because it's important. I need to know the difference between requoting opportunity group, requoting opportunity drip. Okay. I'm going to hit submit. I save that group. Now what I'm going to do is under my pipeline, I am going to say, back to the settings page. If you're not familiar with this is, we have a ton of videos that we've done. Watch the last call. We did pipelines. It's very important to watch. Now I'm going to come and I don't like looking at this. So I'm just going to do requoting and find it. Here it is. Perfect. Requoting. Where did it go? I know I just found it and then I lost it again. This is what I get for using this. Okay. Requoting opportunity. If they get moved into this pipeline from my event reminder group, they're still a prospect. I need to carry the consistent group across because event reminders are always going to trigger based upon consistent group and the date field. I need to carry the consistent group. I can't carry quotes not closed because guess what happens? That drip fires, right? Prospects is not a drip. Now what I'm going to do is trigger my requoting opportunity drip. Okay, this is how you trigger the drip. I'm going to use the event reminder to put to the pipeline to trigger the drip so that I don't have to have 17 different event reminders built to take place of a drip. I'm going to use the event reminder to put it to the pipeline to trigger the drip, to cycle them out, to put them to the event reminder, to put them to the pipeline, to put them to the drip, to cycle them out, to put them to the event reminder, to put them to drip, to put them to, you get what I'm saying now, right? Okay. This is how I am going to do it. Now, what I need to do is think through this. Okay. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. After this is over, expire deal status at 30 days to no automation, which is what everybody has in the account. You can pick a new one, but I need to make sure that they get out of this deal status when this is over, so that when the event reminder triggers, it goes back to the deal status. I can't trigger, and this is what Dallas asked on our live, okay? If Brian is in my pipeline under requoting opportunity, and he sits here for, let's call it 330 days, when that event reminder fires off and goes to move him to the deal status, he's already in the freaking deal status. Guess what's not going to happen?
Automation.
Not going to go back to the top, not going to trigger the drip anymore. There's a breakdown. Okay. So whenever you are looking at your pipelines, when you're building them, should always end with a disconnect. Disconnect them out of there, unless it's a servicing pipeline or things like that. But this should always end with a disconnect to get out. After your event reminder is over, I need to get them the hell out. Here's how you do it.
That way we can put them back in.
Perfect. Now I'm going to say, I know this drip I'm going to do is how many days? I decided it was going to be 2 weeks. Okay. I like to use 30 days as a consistent thing that I do. And let me get rid of this because this was a training thing I did. I like to use 30 days just because it's consistent on what I normally do in accounts. So let me get rid of this so that it's not confusing anybody, because there's another training. 30 days. After this is over, after they've sat in here for 30 days, after the drip has ran its course, guess what group I'm putting them back into? Prospects BFY. This is a move function. It will disconnect this original group and it will move them to just prospects BFY. But Matt, what about the event reminder campaign? If they're not in quotes not closed, it won't fire. Well, I have two groups, prospects and quotes not sold. I can't put them in quotes not sold again because it'll trigger the drip, right? After 30 days, put them into prospects, put them into the no automation, or you can say finished automation. One of the two, you can do either or, okay? Does that make sense to everybody so far? And if you notice, this was red a second ago. I just cleared it by going up to 31 days. It makes no difference to me. It's for minutes. You can't do anything lower than 30 minutes, which is what it was telling you, even though it was an acceptable time frame. I just wanted to clear the red so that you guys didn't freak out. Personally, I would like to move them to a deal status that doesn't show up on my pipeline. And I would use the same deal status for every single event reminder campaign that I have. I would personally create a deal status that was finished automation or finished or completed or whatever you want to use. And on your pipeline over here, these little settings buttons tell you what statuses show up. So I can remove statuses from showing up on my pipeline by unchecking them. And when I come back to my pipeline, guess what? They're gone. Well, my system's broken. No, you just haven't shown them on your account yet. So if it was me, I would create a status that was finished event reminder or finished campaign or finished, have it unchecked so it didn't show up, so that when these people went through for 30 days, they just disappeared. And they're attached to a different deal status so that the event reminder can put them back into the deal status, okay? So over here, let's go back to our deal status. After they sit here for 31 days, this is the drip that's going to trigger to follow up, and we'll show you how to build those out so that it's all complete. They're going to move into prospects and into the no automation or finished automation pipeline, however you set it up. So let's run this through real quick. If Matt is in a proposal status and he runs through this entire thing and doesn't close, 60 days before that renewal is up, it's going to hit him with a requoting ERC, and it's going to send me an email notifying it and also send the client a text, okay? This is where you have to understand your processes. This is why you build this out, okay? If my event reminder fires the 60-day mark, which is basically day 0, if it fires out today and I have it cycling to this new requoting opportunity group over here, and it goes into a group called requoting drip campaign, right? Requoting opportunity drip. That message fired today and it moved to the pipeline today. So when I go and build my drip, usually people build drips that are a day 0 drip, right? When you put them into a drip, day 0, it fires out. But the event reminder just happened. So your drip you build already has the day 0 from the event reminder, and now you're working on step 2, okay? So let's go into this, requoting opportunity drip, requoting opportunity drip. Same phone number. I don't really care about constraints because, I'm probably not going to have 20 people in less than 30 minutes come into this. Lord willing, I'm writing that much, quoting that much business, but I hope I close more than I'm quoting, right? I'm going to pick time constraints, 10 to 5. I don't like to send anything out after that. I also don't like to do Saturdays, Sundays, or holidays. And I'm going to hit continue, okay? Now, if I did day 0, what happens? 2 drips go out at pretty much the exact same time. I don't want to do that. I already sent out my day 0 from my event reminder campaign. Now I'm going to go to day, and I believe I said 6 on our pipeline over here. Day 6, I did an email, right? So this is why it's important to build this out. Let's pretend day 6 was a text message, okay? Day 6, what time do I want this to send out? Well, I sent the other one out at 11:15. I'm going to do this one at 12:30. And here's my message. Hey, Jim. And just a little tip. Change up your text messages every time. Don't say hey or hi every time. You already said hey or hi on the first one. Just go straight to it. Jim, just checking in on your insurance renewal coming up. Didn't hear back from you. Did anything change since we talked? Or can I just send the quote over? Okay. Now I'm going to come down here and look at this and say, okay, this is two text messages. I'm just going to make it 1. Delete out that last part, make it 1. Didn't need the second question. Hit submit. Now, if you're following this, if Matt was sitting in this status for 31 days, they ran through the quotes not closed, they ran through everything else. After the full year is almost up, 60 days before the 1-year mark, before their renewal, I'm sending them this text message. I am sending myself a notification, and I'm putting them into the requoting opportunity pipeline. Once they're in this requoting opportunity pipeline, they've already got an event reminder day 0 text, and the drip will take over on day 6. Okay. Now I just simply come through here and build out the remainder of what I want to build out. I'm going to do day 11. I'm going to do this one maybe closer into the afternoon. Maybe they work construction or something else and they can't be on their phone during the day. Later in the afternoon. And this one's going to be just checking in again. I know stuff gets busy, but don't want to miss the opportunity to save you money. You have a second to chat. Go down here, 1 text message, I'm good. And I just duplicated it twice on accident, so I hit save twice, and I'm going to remove that out, okay? So now I technically have 3 touches for a requote. I probably want to stop texting them at this point. I probably want to add some emails in here. So then I would just simply go right back over to my tools. I'd go to my email drips, and I'd build out the same thing, okay? And I'd add some emails in there, day 0 email, a day 4 email, a day 9 email, maybe a day 20 email. And call it a freaking day, okay? That's how I would run this. Now, if you're thinking through this correctly, every time an opportunity comes into this status, they're going to be hit with the event reminder campaign. And you'll know the message gets fired out because you'll see it over in your dashboard over here under fired out drips. And I know if they sit here for the next 20-something days, they're going to get hit with automations. And after it's over, they're going to move over into new pipeline. And guess what's going to happen next year? They are still in prospects, BFY. They still have the date field. And they're going to move back into this requoting opportunity drip. Here's where the system breakdown happens. You have Matt. Let's say we're using Jane Doe. This is a perfect example. Jane Doe is in the proposal status. Right? She's in proposal. She's in the right group. Doesn't have the date field. Event reminder won't fire off. Nothing will recycle. They'll sit here dead in that status. Okay? This is an easy solution. There's a few things you can do to make sure you don't drop the ball. My personal favorite, because it's simple, is every time I move somebody into this date field, into the proposal, I'm going to simply jump into here and I'm going to simply edit that date field here, you can always use this edit button here. There's two ways to do it. That's why I like to use sections, because it's cleaner. I can always update it here, or I can come into my other info here and I can update it over here. So every time you move somebody into this status, you need to put a date field to it. That is the easiest way to do it. The harder way to do that is you could use tasks, you could do other things like that. It's honestly, if you're not putting the date field in, it's not going to fire off. So it's got to be part of your processes. And you will start to have processes that every time you're moving people in, you're going to have to use that date field. You're going to have to put a date field in there to fire things off. It's going to become a normal process. Or you use the same date field every time for everything, which I don't highly recommend because it can be messy. If I'm moving, like doing a renewal campaign, and I'm using my requoting opportunity event reminder date to do that, it's just going to be off. So I personally like to use separate dates for some of these things. Anytime I make a change, it's a sale, great. Move it in, jump into her account, and I'm going to add the date field for renewal date fields, right? I'm going to have a date field in here that's for renewal. Okay. That is the prospects requoting event reminder campaign. I went through two things on this call. I showed you the settings and built out kind of the purpose of what the event reminder is for. We were supposed to just do settings on this call, but might as well build something at the same time while we're going through explaining it. So this is the purpose of event reminders. Your drips will never be able to do this, what we just did. One, your deal statuses or your pipelines will never be able to do this correctly. And I'll tell you why. If Michael McCormick goes from proposal to something else, if I put him into a prospect category because he reached out and we were having a conversation, not going to probably fire if it's tied to the deal status. Event reminder campaigns are the ironclad solution that regardless of how messed up your pipeline gets, it will re-trigger and it will put it back in the correct pipeline. There's always things in here you can do. For example, there's always things in here you can do with a repeat drip function where you're like, hey, I am going to take my quotes not closed campaign and I'm going to edit the verbiage a little bit and I'm going to repeat this sequence every year. But if they get moved out of that group for whatever reason, it's not going to repeat anymore, which is a breakdown in process. So this is all about building your perfect agency elephant system. And the perfect way to do it is to use event reminders. Now I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. I know Amber Fox had a couple questions in here about uploading lists. Before we get to Amber, was there any other things that you didn't respond to in here, Brian, that you wanted to highlight?
There really weren't any questions in the chat.
Okay, perfect. All right, so Amber, when you upload a list with X dates, if I name the column X date when it populates to that field, do I need to add that first? Your Built For You account comes with, in one of our videos, we go over this, your Built For You account comes with a date field called expiration date. So if you are creating your list, it's going to look something like this. You're going to have first name, last name, mobile, email, not X date because we don't have X date in your system, expiration date. You could have address, you could have zip, you could have requoting date fields. You can, this header bar is going to map the information for you. But if you put X date in here and you come in to import this, and let me show you, right? Let me just show you really quick because this is really simple to show you. X date 11/1/2020, address, zip, I'm going to leave blank. I'm going to download this as a CSV. I'm going to put this on my dashboard so it's easy to find. Now watch this. If my headers aren't created correctly, which is a great question, I'm going to put Matt to the prospects group. I'm going to select my file. I'm going to start my import. See this unchecked box? It was not mapped. You see how it's blank? It's not going to send over to Agency Elephant, but watch this. Now it's mapped. If these don't match up, first name isn't correct. Ah, shoot, that was actually the last name. Well, let me come in here. Change it to last name. This is how you manually map information into Agency Elephant if your headers aren't right. If you put phone as a header, it's going to come in as phone. Guess what that is? A landline. No, even though I put phone, I need to make sure that it goes to mobile because mobile is a text message. Make sure these information map. If there's fields on here you don't want to send into Agency Elephant, just leave them blank and they won't send over, okay? If you're using the wrong header, just put it into the right date field. It will show you that it is not mapped.
Makes sense.
Questions, because we went over a lot. Feel free to turn on your mics and or cameras. You can't possibly look worse than I do right now.
So if we're trying to follow along with this, I know you had done a lot of videos on YouTube before. Is there anything that is so outdated we shouldn't be following the YouTube? Because I know at Soup Live you told me to hold off for a couple things, or is that still relevant?
No, the videos are still relevant. The thing I was discussing about holding off on is we're building out a more extensive Zapier account, Zapier app, and that's almost done. I'm waiting on a few things to send over for that before we announce it. That's the only thing I'd hold off on because it's a little more involved. But everything we went over right now in Brian's initial event reminder campaign doesn't have the pipeline recirculation. This video is going to show it. It's going to be posted into our Building the Perfect Agency Elephant playlist section shortly, so you can follow along and pause this and build this out at the same time I do. Pause it, do your drips correctly, follow the settings correctly, follow where I went correctly, pause it. And just so you know, one thing you can do is slow down the video on YouTube. You know, you can speed it up. You can also slow it down. So if we're talking and moving too fast, slow the video down so that you can follow easier. Yes, that is something we went over earlier. Amber, your Agency Elephant account does come with pre-built, built for you event reminder campaigns. They aren't built for you in what we just went over. These are all the pre-built event reminder campaigns in your system, but they are not based on the requoting one that we just did. Nor are they going to be based upon renewals or based upon other things, which is what we're going to do calls on for the foreseeable future. On Wednesdays is our typical days we do these. Any other questions? And if you don't know what's in your Built For You account, or you're curious, or it's been a while since you looked, over in your rocket ship, come over to the Built For You overview and click on this, and you'll be able to watch. Let me click on it here. Sorry, Built For You overview. I'll fix that link. Go ahead and watch the video that populates here. This gives you an overview of what's included in your Built For You and where it's all located. Updating fields in AE is one of the tasks that fires off for my VA and Easy Links when the policy goes into active sold status, so that they're sending out signatures and docs, filling out all the other fields in AE as part of the VA process. Some of it is automated with Zapier, but not all of it. We have them doing this to make sure perfect. Whatever your processes are to make sure these are done, use those processes, whatever they are. They don't have to be the same ones that I do. I don't have staff, so I have to do it when I'm doing it. Any other questions? All right. That was our call for the day. I'm going to post this video into our YouTube channel as soon as it processes in the next probably hour or so, and I'll post it up there and post the playback for everybody. Follow that video. Next week, we are going to be doing another event reminder recycling. We should probably do renewals because it's another really important one. We'll do a renewal one. And we'll post that in the group. So make sure you see that and jump on. As always, Facebook group is a great way for questions so that everybody can take advantage of the answers. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday.